It has been a very brutal year for Xbox, and it's kind of weird to just consider the fact that just even recently, there was so much talk about the possible Xbox comeback. Like, if you're somebody that sort of follows the console wars or just the state of the industry, there have been conversations now for decades about the idea of Xbox versus Nintendo versus PlayStation. But at this point, the talks are really only about PlayStation and Nintendo because Microsoft has, in a lot of ways, completely given up. They've just basically put all their stuff third party. I mean, I spent this whole weekend just playing Gears of War Reloaded on my PlayStation 5, which still feels extremely strange. But it seems like Microsoft's idea is to take a separate lane. Not just to try and purely go to be a service-based option. They're not just pushing Game Pass. They're pushing the idea of a more powerful handheld. Now, there's been a lot of leaks about this, but the thing that is officially confirmed, which I really want to dive deep on today, is the ROG Ally, where essentially there's a company called Asus, and apparently they worked together with Microsoft to make a portable PC. Now, this thing is beefy. It's actually extremely strong. It's honestly some pretty high-end graphics for a gadget that can fit in your backpack, but the price has now leaked. It is over $1,000 for this handheld. $1,000 for a portable Xbox. I mean, I complained a lot about the price of the PlayStation 5 Pro even being $700. I've complained a lot about the Nintendo Switch even being $450, but a $1,000 handheld. This is the most niche of niche, but let me take a look at it. I want to break this all down because I have to admit that I'm fascinated by the attempt, but I feel like the results are going to be disastrous at best. Hi, I am Dreamcast Guy. If you could, please give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't already. I spent all day outside yesterday and I got really sunburned, so if I look like, man, look what happened to this microwaved ginger. Okay, be nice in the comments. Anyways, this is the thing, is that I still feel like a lot of people are kind of adapting to this very sudden shift in tactics to Xbox. Like, even a year ago, they were publicly pounding their chest saying, Xbox is the best place to play. We have Play Anywhere. We have the coolest back catalog. We have the biggest backwards compatibility. And now they've shifted to everything will be everywhere. Doesn't matter if you own an Xbox, you can be an Xbox gamer. Your PlayStation is an Xbox. Your VR headset is an Xbox. I do think the whole this is an Xbox ad campaign has been disastrous, but the other part of it is that this is such a big attempt that I don't think is going to have any sort of moving the needle effect. Aggregated library support, more games at your fingertips than ever before. Welcome to the future of gaming on the go. Now, I'm specifically going to be mostly talking about the specs and the price of both these devices, but if you hear me saying the ROG Ally X, I am talking about this, the ROG Xbox Ally X. Now, there is basically going to be a more expensive version and a less powerful version. And you're probably thinking, wow, that looks like a standard Xbox Series X and a Series S. Well, the original talk was that Xbox wanted to make a handheld that was roughly the power of an Xbox Series S on the go, and they've canceled this project. That internally, they wanted to make a dedicated handheld, something that would compete against more of the Nintendo Switch and less of the PlayStation. And apparently, they just think that's not worth it. Now, when it got confirmed that they're basically canceling this project internally, they're letting Asus handle it, the talk is the fact that essentially, Microsoft no longer wants to subsidize their hardware. What that means is that essentially, with a lot of companies, if you're making something and it costs you $600 to make, you sell it for $650, right? Well, not with gaming companies. With gaming companies, they purposely eat the cost because they're going to make most of their money on you buying the games, you buying Game Pass, you buying Fortnite V-Bucks. They get a cut of everything on the platform. So they're fine that if it costs them $600 to make the console, they're fine selling it at $550 or something. Anything to get you in board without basically losing all their money. Microsoft has said they are now going to stop all subsidization. That's why the Xbox continues to get more expensive now instead of cheaper and cheaper. and why it seems like their plan is to just straight up let other people make Xboxes, and in this case, letting somebody do an officially branded Xbox handheld that's even being advertised by Xbox. Now, the ROG Ally X, just the basic one that's already been out, and this new Xbox version is more powerful of it. We're going to take a look at that in a second. But a lot of people are talking about the fact that the ROG Ally just got more expensive anyways. Just a normal ROG Ally X, which again is weaker than this, is already a $900 thing. A $900 handheld, and this is more powerful than it. For the ROG Ally X to cost $800 or less, Microsoft or Asus would have to eat that cost. The ROG Ally X has similar specs to the $900 one right now. The ROG Ally X has a much better CPU, Z2 Extreme, so yeah, there's going to be a lot of shock and disappointment. Well, this is the leaked price. This came out by Extras. These people have done a lot of different leaks. I've talked about their stuff over the years. They have a lot of connections, but here it is. ROG Ally White, which is the slightly less powerful, think of it as the Series S versus the Series X version, is going to be about $700, whereas the ROG Ally X Black Edition is probably going to be a little bit over $1,000. Now, if they're trying to actually make a profit, they're probably going to price it at about $1,100. Prices have leaked. Release window is leaked. Pre-orders begin in August. Official launch in October. Now, I do think that we are in a very different market right now. I think it's Microsoft themselves that actually coined the idea of luxury gamers, which is this concept that there are some people with a lot of disposable income that want that premium gaming experience. They're the people that will buy the $200 Xbox controller or that $200 PlayStation Edge controller. There are people that not just have that money, but don't mind spending it to get 1% of a better experience. I'm not one of those people. I mean, typically I try and get I don't even have a Pro controller for my Nintendo Switch 2, right? But those people definitely exist. I just feel like if you're making something like this that is supposedly supposed to be on store shelves and stuff, this high price tag, it will just always be prohibitively expensive. I mean, even right now, even if you want to buy a Nintendo Switch, that's $500, right? I still feel like that's a lot. This being double the cost, to me, is a hurdle that people won't be able to get over. It is cool that it will be able to play so much. They have talked about the fact that this is going to have Game Pass. It is going to have pretty much every launcher on it. You can play Steam games on it. You can play all sorts of stuff. Good old games, Battle.net will all be on it. I'm very tempted to get this just because I do want to review it as a person that's very obsessed with my Steam Deck. I have noticed some people excited about it. It definitely seems like everybody I've personally talked to that played even the current version of the ROG Ally X, apparently it is wild. I mean, it is a full-blown PC in your pocket. It is wild. I have seen people say you can also customize it to run tons of emulators and all sorts of stuff at 4K, 200 FPS on a handheld. This being more powerful than that is interesting, but this is the main complaint I've seen people say, which is that, okay, this isn't really an Xbox. This whole advertising campaign of this is an Xbox is still so bizarre. I own 762 games on Xbox Series X across 4 generations of Xbox. This does not include Game Pass titles, but it does include a few betas and demos. Of those 762 games, only 61 of my games are Play Anywhere. This is 8% of an Xbox. Now, I saw people talking about this because this does actually, I think more than anything else, this nails why I feel like this is going to fail, in that we're just getting to this point now where the advertising and messaging around this doesn't really connect with the product itself. Like, hey, we have this system is really beefy, it plays Xbox games, it's got an Xbox button. Okay, but it doesn't have Game Pass. It doesn't have anything in it. This is a Windows PC. This is something that just plays Windows gaming. This isn't an Xbox. I think that it is cool to me that it can play PlayStation Steam stuff. That's kind of interesting. I think I keep coming around to the idea that the ROG Ally X is too ambitious, and it really just doesn't know the market. Maybe it's just me, but I feel like people are getting more broke, more cheap, more willing to spend money on a game that's good but lower price, right? I do think that part of the excitement of the Gears of War Reloaded is the fact that it's a $40 awesome game with tons of maps and a long campaign you can play co-op and stuff like that. Even things like Expedition 33, a game that's $50, that's 100 hours long and super fun. It just feels like people are getting scammed so much, ripped off so much in every corner of the gaming industry, that if you come out and say, hey, here is a handheld that is powerful, that is juicy, and it's double the price of the Nintendo Switch, you're going to get laughed out of the room. But these have just been some off-the-cuff thoughts. How do you feel about the Xbox handheld? How do you feel about the big "this is an Xbox" campaign? Because I still feel like it's just been one big blunder. But tell me what you think in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and please keep dreaming. Look at this. This sunburn hurts like a heck. You know, I know I live in Texas, but I'm not that kind of redneck. Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.